Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Erin Dagenet from the library. I'm a reference librarian, and I'm joined by Brittany Delorme, who's our beloved children's librarian, who has been a constant internet success with her story times, and thankfully, so the children can see her, because I think it's one thing the adult patrons probably don't miss the librarians as much as the kids miss you guys down there on the first floor.
Oh, thank you. I miss you guys too. Hopefully see you soon.
Hopefully see you soon. Yeah, exactly. So this holiday season, we wanted to do something a little bit different because we are trying to find ways to connect with our patrons and get books into your hands. And it's also been the kind of year where small businesses, individuals are struggling themselves, but small businesses are having a rough year too. And we are so lucky to have Bookends in our town, to have an independent bookstore to call our own. And they've made it easy for us to shop online. They have made it easy for us to safely shop in the store or do curbside pickup, or they will ship directly to our homes. So we wanted to partner with them to give the gift of books this holiday season. We got some opinions from all of the staff in our building about books they would recommend for the year. And we got that list into the hands of all of the staff at Bookends. And I really want to thank Judy Manzo and Emily Schwab for helping pull this together, because what's really nice when you're presenting a book talk like this is to have books in your hand to show, because for a lot of people, seeing the cover is what sort of makes that memory connect for them when they're shopping in a store or going into the library to look at books on the shelf. When you've seen a cover, you're more readily able to sort of bring the memory up about what you heard about the book. And when you're having a book talk without showing the cover, that makes it tricky. So Bookends gave us a whole pile of books to bring home to show you guys. And I already can guarantee that not all of my pile is going to make it back to the store, because I am going to purchase a few of these books. I've already, over the course of getting books from them in the last 2 weeks, I think I bought 5 or 6 books in the last couple of weeks, but definitely there's a couple that I'm going to keep from this trip too. And well, I'm not going to keep them, I'm going to buy them. Anyway, so to kick off our talk, we're going to go through just a few of the books that we've loved. So this is Dinner in French by Melissa Clark. Melissa Clark is the New York Times writer, and she's written a couple of books, but she did the cookbook Dinner, which was one of the cookbook club choices at the library this year. Melissa Clark grew up going to France in the summers with her family and developed a love for French cooking. But in this book, what she's done is taken what she loves about French cooking and made it sort of a weeknight friendly cookbook. So it's not a daunting sort of set of French recipes where you have to go to 20 different grocery stores and find all of the correct ingredients. This is just sort of like regular food presented in an easy way, but just special touches. So this is a really good one to try. And you know, cookbooks are funny because they make really lovely hostess gifts, but of course we're not really paying visits to anybody's homes this year, but you can buy yourself a hostess gift, or you can certainly send one to someone if you know someone who would enjoy a great cookbook. So that's Melissa Clark, Dinner in French. This is Joanne Chang's newest cookbook, Pastry Love. Of course, Joanne Chang is the proprietor of all of the Flour bakeries and Myers and Chang, along with her husband, but the Flour bakeries in the Boston area. And her first 2 cookbooks, Flour and Flour 2, are great cookbooks. One focuses more on sort of the sweeter side of her bakery, and one has a focus more on the savory soups and savory scones and that kind of thing that they serve at the Flour bakery. This one is called Pastry Love, and it's all about pastries, and it's mostly pastries that they serve in the bakery. And her term Pastry Love comes from how she talks to the bakers that work for her bakeries, how she tells them to treat the pastries that they're baking, to treat them with pastry love, so that they can make tend lovingly to the things that they're serving to their guests and people that are coming into their restaurant. It's full of pictures. It reads a little bit like a storytelling book. It's not just recipe after recipe. She's a really beautiful writer as well, and talks a lot about the development of recipes, and there's just beautiful photography throughout the book. So that's Pastry Love by Joanne Chang. And my last cookbook that I really have to mention this year, for a couple of reasons, is Modern Comfort Food by Ina Garten. I love Ina Garten cookbooks. They are, for me, been a sure thing when I'm cooking a recipe for myself or for company, which is really great. Super uncomplicated recipes, and her cookbooks are always just filled with great photographs, little anecdotes about her and her husband Jeffrey and their beautiful, kitchen and farm. And she's funny. She loves to entertain. But she started writing this cookbook before the pandemic, and she was writing it because she knew this was an election year, and it would come out around the time of the election, and we'd all just sort of need some comfort food. Well, little did she know that her book has come out during a year when we really are cooking for ourselves a lot more. We're not leaving our house. We're not entertaining. We're just kind of hunkering down. And I think that this is a lovely book to have in your home cooking library. It also is a great gift, and this is probably one that I'm not going to be able to part with. So those are 3 cookbooks for us. So that's Modern Comfort Food by Ina Garten.
Thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you, Erin, for asking me to join you today. I really appreciate it. I think most of you know me. My name is Brittany. The kids call me Miss B. Not because we're formal, just because it's easier to say, and I usually work with the little ones. So Miss B just seems easier. So thank you all for joining me, and I'm going to echo what Erin said. Thank you to Bookends for supplying us with these fabulous books, and we do absolutely want to support our local bookstore. So thank you also to Emily and Judy for helping us out today. And again, echoing Erin, I've read most of them, or at least portions of them, but I got some information from all of the children's librarians in the department. So I tried to kind of speed read through as many as I could, but some of them I just got chunks of, because I was trying to kind of get a whole breadth and depth. So I can give you everything that I've got. I know most about most of the books that are on the list. That's a lot of most, but you know what I mean. Okay. So this first one that I chose is Fairy Tales of Fearless Girls by Susan McFarlane. She's also done, let me make sure I get the title right, Bold Tales of Brave-Hearted Boys, which is a couple of years older. This is her newest one, and I love it. They're beloved, 4 beloved stories that we all know very well: Red Riding Hood, Thumbelina, Rapunzel, and Cinderella. But it's the stories where the girls save themselves. You know the story, they don't totally change them up, but it's, in the end, you can save yourself, which I love. And so she kind of wrote a little introduction, a little poem. So being a resident children's librarian on the Zoom call, I'm going to read you something. So here we go. Fairy Tales of Fearless Girls by Susan McFarlane. Once upon a time, in a land far away, yet not so different from today, 4 young girls stand and fight for what is good, for what is right. Dark forces try to hold them back. Evil tempts them from the track. In order to be truly free, these girls must strong and fearless be. In the darkness, they find the light, cleverness triumphing over might. And when others do them wrong, in their softness, they are strong. They may be small, but they're big of heart, kind and cheerful, brave and smart. And so with courage, hope, and laughter, they make their own happily ever after.
I love that.
So, right? Fairy Tales for Fearless Girls, friends. This might, that would be hard. This is one of my top picks of this year. It's just, it's really lovely. It's one of those that kiddos can grow into. There are some really lovely kind of vignette illustrations, but it is the full-on story with some adaptation. So there's a lot of text. So if you have a 3-year-old who loves to sit and loves these stories, then think about it. But I would say more for sort of like entering elementary school is your ideal age range. But again, you know your kiddos better than we do. But it's just a really lovely bit of a departure from the traditional tale. So fairy tales for fearless girls.
Fantastic.
I love this one because it's just so goofy and it sparkles on the cover, friends. I mean, sometimes you just need a little sparkle in your life. I mean, especially this year, right? Don't we need a little sparkle in our lives? So this is called Unicorns Are the Worst by Alex Willen. And our little friend down here is and he's not a gnome. He's I read this quite a while ago. Goblin. He's a goblin, not a gnome. Very important that we know this. You know, the unicorns always take the cake. They're sparkly, they're cool, they're all kinds of awesome, and he just wants the recognition that he deserves. So that's the story, is that he's just really upset that the unicorns get all the praise, they get all the birthday parties, they get all the cool party favors and everything, and you know, goblins just do all the work, even though they're just as magical, if not more magical. But then, my friends, maybe, just maybe, there's room for both of them to coexist. So that's Unicorns Are the Worst. We have some other magical creatures who make an appearance. And it's just silly. It's just fun. If you've got any kind of little ones in your life, this is just a lovely gift. I have given it already. I recorded it for story time, for our virtual story time page. It's funny, it's cute, it's got the humor for the adults, it's got the fun and the whimsy for the kids. It's a really lovely pre-K picture book gift. So the
illustrations look beautiful.
They are hilarious, and he did both. He's the author and the illustrator, and they're like total, full, often double page spreads. They're like with the thought and it's thought bubbles for the most part. So he truly is our narrator. It's really funny, and sort of as you go through, there's little Easter eggs hidden in there. So it's one of those that will be begged to be read over and over again, and you'll be okay with it. So that's Unicorns Are the Worst.
What's the name of the author, the last name? Alex?
Willen.
Okay.
Willan, Alex Willen.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Highly recommend.
And then I have one last nonfiction here to go over, and it's this guy's new book, A Promised Land. If there's someone in your life who is a reader and you don't know them very well, you don't exactly know what they like to read, but you know that they're just interested in things, this is a great gift. This is really a great gift for anyone. He's the voice of reason. He's a voice of humanity. This is the book of the first term of President Obama, and leading up to his campaign, what that was like for his family. He talks with grace about the strain that this caused on his marriage. He talks with grace about foreign relations. He's a great writer. He makes his first term of the presidency very accessible to us. He sort of throws the curtains back and shows us what his life was like then. At 700 pages, this is just the first term, so we have to wait and read the second term, which is one I think we're all really, really interested in. But I highly recommend this one for just anyone in your life who's into, not just into politics, but just looking to talk again about an America that we remember. So I highly recommend A Promised Land by Barack Obama. Okay, I'm going to move on to some fiction books for you all. I'm going to start with 3 that I have read and loved, and then 2 that I know are great and I have not read. Let's start with this book. It's The Midnight Library by Matt Haig.
On my list.
I just adored this book. This is a sort of sliding doors, if you remember that movie. It's a sliding doors of books. It's a book about a woman who is having a bit of a miserable time in her life. Her relationship is sort of has fallen apart. Her job has fallen apart. Her family is falling apart. There's not a lot great in this woman's life. Nora Seed is her name. And so she decides she's going to end her life. And it's not in a tragic kind of way. It reminds me a little bit of a Bridget Jones kind of novel where or Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine. She's just a bit of a disaster, but also kind of funny. But what she discovers in attempting to end her life is that in between life and death, what if there exists a library filled with books, and each book has a version of your life as it could have been, a story that could have been your life if you'd made another decision, sort of like that sliding doors moment. What if you had said no to that date? What if you had taken that job? What if you had dropped out of that class? What if you had not crossed the road when you did? All of these ideas that then cause your life to take a right turn, a left turn, 180-degree turn, and turn out differently. And what happens in the Midnight Library is that Nora Seed discovers that her life could have been better, and she doesn't need to necessarily give up on herself as quickly as she has. And one of the beautiful parts of the Midnight Library, early on in the book, we meet her high school librarian, Nora Seed's librarian, and she's Mrs. Elm. She's the librarian in the Midnight Library. She's sort of this helper character that presents herself right when Nora Seed meets her and explains to her that her life, she has agency, she has choice, she can make it different. She can choose to live or not. And that's what the whole book is really about. It's about choosing life. It's about choosing love, and the different variations of her life that she gets to explore in her visit to the Midnight Library are funny, tragic, very interesting. It's a quick, short read. This would be a great book for like a teenager even. It's a fun one. I love the stories within a story, and I love the idea of the what ifs. And I think that's why I really was into this book. And this was my favorite book of the year. It's Transcendent Kingdom by Yaa Gyasi.
Oh.
I just adored this book. Yaa Gyasi is the author of the book Homegoing. And so many people have asked me if this is a sequel to Homegoing. And I don't know why people have that idea. It's not at all. It's not even related, other than the fact that it's about an immigrant family and who moved to Alabama, but it's a family from Ghana, which I think is the connection. So in this book, Yaa Gyasi tells the story of Gifty. She's a bright PhD student at Stanford University, and she's doing research on addictive behaviors in mice. What she's really searching to understand is what caused her smart, determined, athletic, driven brother to die from an opioid overdose. Her brother's death changes her entire worldview. She starts to question her faith, her relationship with God, which was a very big part of her life growing up. Her brother's death causes her mother to, who was already fairly unavailable to the children, to go into such a profound grief that she's no longer able to function as a mother to Gifty, which leaves Gifty feeling very much afloat in the world on her own. The book is about loss and loss of family and faith, and it asks big questions around religion and mental health and who is God and why is God. And it's also talks about how do you begin again after a loss that is so deep and profound in your life. Yagasi is a beautiful storyteller. This is a very intimate look at a small family. Homegoing, her other book, was a very epic, sort of like long, deep family saga. This is just a very, it's almost like a snapshot of a family. And it's a very deep book about a mother-daughter relationship and the love that they had for their brother, son, who's no longer with them. So this is, I highly recommend this book. I just adored it. That's Transcendent Kingdom by Yagasi.
And that's it for me for books, Brittany. So why don't you give us all the picture books that you have now?
Okay. Yes, I don't want to say I saved the best for last, but I maybe saved some of the best for last. So I'm going to start. I can't even look at the cover and not laugh. Cone Cat.
I love it.
This was recommended by another one of our children's librarians, but I did read through it a couple of times. And it's by Sarah Howden, did the words, and Carmen Mock did the illustrations. Just look at this.
So
it's funny. Just look, it's the idea of that the cat Jeremy. What a name for a cat. Which I love it. I'm not, those of you who know me, I'm not the stereotypical cat lady. If you've heard Charlie's barking in the background. But this, it's just so funny, friends. The cat gets the cone of shame, but realizes that it's actually very helpful, especially when it comes to stealing treats, trapping spiders, and doing all kinds of other very interesting cat things. And by the end of the book, the cone of shame goes away, but you know what? Jeremy misses the cone. And it's just, the illustrations are really cute. They sort of travel across the double page spreads, and you can, the intonations are changed in the actual way the text is on the page. So it's just, everything is very creative. It looks very simple, but it's so very creative. And I really I giggle every time I turn the page. So it's hilarious, friends. So if you have any kind of preschoolers in your life, Cone Cat, Sarah Howden and Carmen Mock, again, it's one of those, the illustrations tell a beautiful story. You can kind of follow it along and see all the details, even though the illustrations are very simple, but there's some nice detail in there. So Cone Cat, very funny. My theme of life, but really 2020, be patient, be kind, and be true to you. So these are sort of these 4 books that really just highlight that mantra that I know I'm trying to practice in my everyday life. So this is Penny and the Plain Piece of Paper by Miri Leschampelli. She's done the illustrations and the words here on this one. And this is Penny right here. And Penny initially lives on a plain piece of paper and she thinks it's boring. But as she moves through and tries out other types of paper, she tries out graph paper, she tries out a newspaper, she tries out a map, she tries out all kinds of different paper, and she realizes she doesn't really fit. Literally, at one point, the graph paper tries to shove her into a triangle and she just doesn't fit. So in the end, she realizes that, you know what? She was pretty great where she was, but just because you like where you are doesn't mean you can't grow and change and welcome new people into your life. So it's just, it's a creative story, but bottom line, it is just a really interesting creative story, but sort of the subtext of it, the general idea of be yourself. And, the other pieces of paper, some of them kind of didn't like having her there. Some of them, ignored her, didn't really understand why she was there. But in the end, she welcomed them all onto her piece of paper, which, you know, isn't that just a lovely motto for life? So Penny and the Plain Piece of Paper, I've recommended this to lots of young people in my life. I know that one of our young patron friends highlighted it as a book buzz for his class, and he called it one of his new favorite books, which just warmed my little librarian heart. So I will most likely be giving this one as gifts. Penny and the Plain Piece of Paper by Miri Leshem-Pelly. And this one I have given as gifts. It's called Be Kind. And it's just sort of the idea of our two friends here. Our young friend here who's being helped out in the rain, her name is Tanisha, and she has an accident at school. Not that kind of accident. She spills juice all over herself. And then our young main character here sort of muses about all the different ways that you can be kind to somebody, but maybe not necessarily pointing out if they've made a mistake or not. She doesn't want to make Tanisha feel bad for the accident, but she still wants to be kind. And so the book, she just moves through the book thinking about all the different ways that she can be kind, not only to her classmate Tanisha, but to her neighbors and to her siblings, to her class guinea pig Otis. You know, sort of no one is left behind in this kindness quest. The illustrations are lovely, they're soft. The text is pretty traditional on the page. And it's just, again, it's sort of one of those conversation sparks amongst the family. You know, I gave this to I bought this for one of the children in my life. And I know this already has sparked some conversations. So this is Be Kind. It's by Pat Zietlow Miller and illustrated by Jen Hill. Zietlow. I've heard it said different ways. But she did Sophie Squash. If anyone knows Sophie Squash, very funny. So this is Be Kind by Pat Zietlow Miller and illustrated by Jen Hill.
Cute.
So yes, absolutely fits in with my be kind, be patient, be true to you mantra. This one is Every Little Letter. And my friends, we have the appearance of a wall trying to keep everybody separate. And in the end, we learn you just can't do it. You just can't do it. So this is Every Little Letter, and every little letter has their own section, and they're protected by their walls. These are just the end papers. So it gives you a nice view as where we're going with the story. You know, and you meet our letters, and you know, everyone's kind of the same. Everyone's doing the same thing with the same people in the same way, and it gets a little boring after a while. So eventually, our letters find a way to meet up, and wonderful, beautiful words happen. But the big letters find out. And the walls get built higher and stronger and more fortified. But in the end, they find a way. Find a way for everybody to be together, to spread the word, and, you know, better together.
Oh, I love
Always
that.
better together. So, you know, be patient, be kind, be true to you. Reach out to your fellow friend. And that's Every Little Letter. Deborah Underwood and Joy Wong Ruiz. Deborah Underwood has done lots of really great stuff. And I love Ogilvy is one that she just gave, also very much about being yourself and being true to you. That I just recommended to somebody the other day. It's a couple of years old, but she always comes out with really great stuff, Deborah Underwood. And this is another one that I will absolutely give as a gift and recommend. Every Little Letter. You tear down walls with words at first, and then brick by brick.
Oh,
so
that's pretty.
I know, right? It is. It's so lovely. This is Turtle Walk by Matt Phelan. Oh, Matt Phelan. I cannot say enough about him. I have not held anything in my hands that I do not love. He's done a really interesting 1920s rendition of Snow White as a graphic novel. He's done so many awesome, wonderful, fabulous things. So he's an author, he's an illustrator, he's really sort of expanding. He's very prolific. And I'm just such a huge fan. And Nice and Slow, Here We Go is the tagline of the book. Again, quite timely. I didn't intend to cultivate something like this, but they literally just all kind of fell in my lap, and I felt like it was meant to be. Just sort of the theme of this year, just, one step at a time, and be patient and be kind. And be you. So Matt Phelan, Turtle Walk. So here are our turtles right here, and they're going somewhere, and we don't quite know where they're going. And this is a really simple picture book. Absolutely works for very young kids, because it's got some nice repetition. It's got some very nice vignettes kind of as we go. I feel like it's something that could become sort of a mantra as we get our shoes together, as we get ourselves ready to go out the door. Nice and slow, here we go. Are we there yet? No.
That's great. That's cute.
And it's repetition. Turtle walk, nice and slow, here we go. Are we there yet? Nope, we are not. So we just kind of move through the turtle's journey, and they just go nice and slow, nice and slow, nice and slow. And finally, they get where they're going. And you know what? They have a great time when they get there. So that's my last one, friends, Turtle Walk. A lovely reminder to be patient with ourselves and our families and our friends. And it's pretty hard sometimes, but
oh my gosh, Brittany, I love that theme. I just love your choices.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It just sort of all came together, and I couldn't think of a better way to wrap up this year than just with a couple of reminders, if for no one else, to myself, to be patient, to be kind, and to be true to who you are and what you think. And, and then talk about some great books, so that concludes the official book talk portion. We are almost right on time, which is beautiful.
Amazing.
Yay us. And if anyone has any questions, if you'd like to unmute yourself or turn your camera on for a quick second, if you want to ask any questions, if you want us to show you something, remind you of an author, again, Erin put the list in the chat, and it will be posted online. I think it actually is posted on our calendar right now. And again, we'll do sort of a cleaned up, like quick, succinct version of this with just a couple of books highlighted as a video, so that you can revisit leading up to the new year, if you want another reminder of a couple of these books. Bye, Angela. Thank you.
Bye, Angela. Thanks.
So we thank you all so much for joining us. This year has looked very different than we intended it to look, but everyone has really just, stepped up and stepped forward and embraced the changes with open arms as best as we can. And so we thank you all for bearing with us as we've kind of, as I like to say, reinvented the wheel while we're driving.
Well said.
And, thanks, Kristen.
Yep.
So thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you again to Bookends for loaning us all of these fabulous books. And and Erin, I'm sure will echo, but shop local, come see us in the library. We are open for appointment times. If we can help you in any way, please let us know. Reach out to Erin or to me. And we are happy to help you in any way that we can. And thank you again so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. I agree. And what we love to talk about is books. And I feel like we don't get to do that quite as much at the library these days, I guess, because people just aren't there to chat with. But it's really fun to just do the book talk. So thank you, Brittany, for doing this with me.
Oh, of course. Absolutely. It is. It's one of the things I miss the most. This is talking to my people about my books. So thank you all for listening to us for an hour. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all.